She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart, a very first sight that should rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
Hey y'all, I'm so happy you chose to press play for the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. This is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, musician and singer-songwriter. Each week, I'm delighted to celebrate and share music, art, and cultural events happening in the St. Andrews area, as well as celebrating all the amazing merchants. My other favorite part of this venture is hearing the stories of the salty locals here in St. Andrews. The last 2 episodes have featured January Johnson, who was one of the founding Airbnb hosts for this area, and most recently, Brad Stevens of Sunjammers. This week, I'm happy to have Bobby Beard and Paco from the Salty Hobo, the Hobo 2, House of Henry, and Library on Beck. It was a treat speaking with them, and I'm excited for listeners to hear the interview. The coming weeks feature Megan McDougall and 2 more surprise guests. I'm currently in the process of creating archives for everyone to enjoy after the time-sensitive information expires. This will likely be hosted on my website, ashleyfellermusic.com, and I'll post more information on the podcast Facebook and Instagram very soon. This week, I'll be sharing events for the weekend of March 5th through 7th, as well as some special community events coming up this weekend, and then wrap up with a piece of local history from a column in the St. Andrews Bay News from 1928. So make yourself comfortable, fix your coffee, and enjoy the show. Got a great weekend of live music up ahead. This Friday, join Class Act for some fantastic jazz in the dining room of the Shrimp Boat at 5 p.m. For the 6 o'clock hour, you've got lots of great options. First, you can enjoy one of the best margaritas in town while you listen to Tyler and Sandy at Los Anajitos at 6 p.m. Or you can have a big old drink with Chuck Foster and Gary Nichols at Little Village. If you appreciate stellar songwriting and like hearing original music, I cannot recommend this more. Also at 6 p.m., you can see Two Saxy at Alice's on Bayview. One of my most favorite musicians in this area, John Cannon, is making beautiful music for you at Uncle Ernie's at 7 p.m. And if you like R&B and soul, boogie upstairs to the House of Bourbon for True Soul at 7 p.m. Multi-instrumentalist Sean Pinniger is playing for you at the Library on Beck at 8 p.m. And closing out the evening is Hot Mess at the Salty Hobo at 9 p.m. The market at St. Andrews is every Saturday morning and opens at 8 a.m. in the lot next to the Shrimp Boat. There are a number of fantastic arts and crafts vendors, food trucks, and live music brought to you by Floriopolis that begins at 10 a.m. This week, the featured musician is Al Gooch. The market is always interested in having different musicians, so if you'd like to play at the market, please email me at ashley.feller@gmail.com, or you can always private message the podcast. The Floriopolis Music and Art Tent is usually located by the food trucks on Beck Avenue. Saturday night also offers a great night of dining, dancing, and live music. If you miss Class Act Friday night, you get a second chance to enjoy their brand of jazz at 5 p.m. at the Shrimp Boat. Hunter and Tony are back at Los Anajitos at 6 p.m., and if you're feeling fancy, stroll down Beck Avenue to Alice's for a charming dining experience while you listen to George Allen. Also this Saturday night at 6 p.m. Local favorite Jay Smith is back upstairs at Uncle Ernie's starting at 7 p.m. And if you just can't get enough R&B and blues, get your fix at the House of Bourbon with True Soul at 7 p.m. You can also get a second dose of Luke Penniger at the Library on Beck at 8 p.m. And if you enjoy West Coast-style reggae, skip on over to the Salty Hobo for cold beer, cocktails, and great tunes by Scott Hightower at 9 p.m. This Sunday might be a little chilly. Put on your favorite sweater and take an Uber down to St. Andrews. This week, you have a couple of brunch options. The first is at Alice's on Bayview, and it starts at 10:30 a.m. with music by Two Saxy. And there's also brunch at Bergen Barrel with music by Jumbled Juke. Not sure of the time, but brunch is traditionally between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. in most places. Call the venue for specific times. After brunch, stroll over to the Little Village and enjoy wonderful music by the one and only Casey Phelps starting at 1 p.m. This concludes the music events for the weekend of March 5th through 7th. Stay tuned for special community events coming up this weekend. Before I get into the other happenings, I would first like to thank Ken Schaefer, who provides the music schedules on his Facebook pages, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and also Oh Boy Music. Let's all show Ken some love by liking and following both pages on Facebook. Thank you so much, Ken, for using these outlets to promote live music in the St. Andrews area. Results are in for last weekend's Salty Dog Day. Socks is now the Salty Dog Mayor of St. Andrews. Congratulations, Socks! It was a fun race for the title, and the event was coordinated by the historic St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership in conjunction with the Market at St. Andrews and enthusiastic cooperation of all vendors, which raised over $10,000 for Operation Spay Bay. This is likely the most that has ever been raised in the history of the event. If you have photos of you and your dog enjoying Salty Dog Day, please post them using the hashtag KeepStAndrewsSalty and hashtag LovePC. The Ladies' Social at Taproom is tomorrow, which is Friday, and it starts at noon, goes all day and into the evening. This is hosted by Sarah Griffith, who is a local artist and entrepreneur. I promise, you've seen her work all over town. You can RSVP, or you can simply show up. Knock off work early on Friday and bring your girlfriends for a ladies' afternoon and evening. That leaves a whole bunch of gentlemen going solo on Friday afternoon, right? Men, what's your first St. Andrews pick for a guy's Friday? How about Crawfish Fridays? Crawfish Fridays are back on the schedule at Barefoot on the Bay now through May, Fridays from 5 through 9 p.m. Crawfish is boiled with potatoes, corn on the cob, mushrooms, and andouille sausage. $10 a pound, $20 for 3 pounds. If that's not a great deal, then I don't know what is, y'all. Kathy at Gypsy Beach used a great saying the other day. When in doubt, wear flowers in your hair. Can you just imagine how many of us would be walking around with flowers in our hair? How beautiful and connected we would feel. We'd be beautifully connected to nature, each other, and our own feelings. That's a powerful thought, y'all. If you're looking for something for the kiddos to do, Gypsy Beach has kids' arts classes, and don't forget to sign up for the resin workshop she has coming up on Saturday, March 20th to learn how to use resin in your art with instructor Barbie. This class is Saturday, March 20th. You can register in person, or you can call 904-451-3071. And for me, when you go, wear flowers in your hair. The next time you're in St. Andrews and you need your caffeine fix, I would like to suggest Amavita Coffee. Have you ever wondered about their name? In Spanish, it's amar, meaning love, and vida, meaning life. We love that our little local coffee shop is named Love Life. Amavita has a sweet deal, too. They are situated right next to Flower and Flowers. That's a bakery and fresh flower combo. You can build your own bouquet of stems, pick up some great treats for the weekend, get coffee for yourself, and get grounds for your garden. While you're exploring St. Andrews this weekend, pop into Little Indigo Spa. They are a host site of one of the Butterfly Gardens, a project by the historic St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership, sponsored by Ocean Engineering, Lowe's, and St. Joe Community Foundation. Little Indigo Spa sits in between Sunjammers and Bergen Barrel on Beck. More than massages and facials, they are an earth-friendly self-care shop for men and women. You can visit Little Indigo Spa and check out the native plants in the Butterfly Garden. Maybe you'll be inspired to create your own garden. We also have a butterfly garden at Floriopolis. You can stop in on Wednesdays 2 to 5 p.m. to make a songbird art for the next fence exhibit. All supplies are provided, all ages, and there's no charge. When you check out the Floriopolis Art in Public Places exhibit at Janie's Fence this week, see if you can identify the 2 pieces that were made by kids. March is Youth Art Month, and our exhibit sponsor, Bubba T. Bird, is thrilled that we have some local kids exploring their art skills and showing off their works of art in public places. For more details, find Megan McDougall with the beautiful mermaid hair at the Market at St. Andrews on Saturday morning, and I'm more than willing to bet she'd love to talk about this with you. entering the best time of year to go on the historic St. Andrews walking tour. The Publishing Museum leads the free guided tours every Wednesday and Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Wouldn't that make for a great Friday lunch date with your office crew? Grab a working lunch at Uncle Ernie's, take the walking tour with your coworkers, and start your weekend off early in St. Andrews. This walking tour is a great way to get yourself down here during the day when the shops are open. It's healthy, it has outside fresh air, and it's light walking. It's educational, and it puts you right here where you want to be, in salty St. Andrews. My absolute all-time favorite holiday is quickly approaching, y'all. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you a hint. Irish food and folklore will fill the week in St. Andrews and downtown. There will be giveaways and door prizes and other surprises as both downtown and St. Andrews merchants team up with Destination Panama City to craft this week-long celebration. We'll have more details next week on the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. In the meantime, plug into Destination Panama City and keep St. Andrews salty on social media. Last week at Floriopolis, I had the pleasure of meeting with Bobby Beard and Paco from the Salty Hobo and the Library on Beck. I was excited to learn about each establishment's unique flavors, and I was also excited to hear about a much-anticipated event coming up at the Salty Hobo this month. It was a pleasure having both Bobby and Paco, and I hope they'll come back and share more fun happenings with us in the near future. I had a great time learning about their experiences in St. Andrews, and I hope you'll enjoy listening too.
All right, good morning. My name is Ashley. I'm with the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. We're here with Bobby Beard and Paco from the Salty Hobo, as well as the library, as well as House of Henry and the Hobo too. Today we'll be talking mostly about events happening in the St. Andrews area. And good morning, and thank y'all so much for being here today. For listeners who may not be familiar with the Salty Hobo and the Library on Beck, can you give us a snapshot of each one and how they got their names?
Salty Hobo, Bobby actually has a story of the Salty Hobo and how that became the Salty Hobo, really. What was that about? It was a really cool story, too.
So my great-grandfather ran the Hobo charter boats out of St. Andrews for many, many years before moving to Treasure Island when it first opened up, the treasure ship when it first opened up. Sorry. So he ran the Hobo for many years. He died approximately a year after I was born. And then Salty came from my grandfather on my dad's side. That was his nickname. He was a 20-something year veteran in the Navy. So they called him Old Salt or Salty. So I combined both those names to come up with Salty Hobo.
And then the library was just kind of like a play on words.
Yeah,
it was, L-I-E, and then brary, like, hey, I'm going to the library. And go to the library, you go to a beer and wine bar and just have a good time, really.
Yep, at the library studying, because we're lying.
I love it. I love that post y'all made a couple weeks ago with all the books, something to the nature of Don't They Know You're a Bar. Where do most of the books come from in there?
So they're sourced locally. A lot of them came from Habitat for Humanity. There's a couple thrift stores we went through and bought their books, hardback books. So they're all sourced locally.
And then some people just bring them.
Yeah.
Some people just end up bringing the books, and then they just say, "Hey, I've got some books for your shelves."
That's so cool. And I think I saw somewhere that somehow the trivia is tied in with the books. Any information about that?
It's not tied in with the books, but what we do basically every weekday from Tuesday through Friday, we pick a book of the day.
Okay.
And we post it on our social pages. And the first person to find the book of the day, out of all the books on our bookshelf, their first beer is on us. Their first drink is on us. As far as trivia night, we do that Tuesday nights, and that's from 7 to 9. Megan does a wonderful job just taking over trivia. And we have prizes that we give away at the end of the night. It's a really good time, and it's turning into something really special here in St. Andrews.
That's fantastic. I've been once, and I had a really nice time.
Once? Come on, you got to come more. Let's go.
I'll come back, definitely.
Okay.
I live all the way on the West End.
Oh, all right.
So why do y'all do what you do, and why have establishments in St. Andrews?
That's kind of a tricky question. The Watershed, which it used to be what Hobo used to be, I used to go there about once a week and hang out. And I like the place. I like the vibe. I like the location. It came available, and I thought, well, I'd like to give it a spin. So kind of started with the Hobo, and it kind of introduced me to that's way of working in businesses, and kind of went from there. Like the style of it and grew it.
And I'm doing what I'm doing because I love putting on events. I love just coming up with creative ways to get people excited and engaged with our businesses. And it's fun for me. I've spent 17 years in radio, and radio is basically marketing. It's just marketing in general. So, I mean, this seemed like the perfect fit to be Bobby's marketing guy, events and promotions guy. And it's been a lot of fun. And Bobby's the type of guy who doesn't say no to ideas. He's open to listen to new ideas and kind of say, yeah, let's try it. And I love that. I think creativity thrives on that, and success thrives on that type of thinking.
Paco's been a great addition to our team for sure.
Yes, I've seen all the posts and all the media related to what you're doing, and it looks fantastic.
He can actually spell. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Not Scott.
That's important.
Yeah.
So can y'all tell me about a time when you had no idea what you were doing, but the situation ended up in a positive direction?
I still don't know what I'm doing. So yeah,
the same thing. I'm learning every day.
I honestly think that's just a part of kind of growing is faking it until you make it. And, you make decisions, and, people look at all the positive things that are happening with the businesses, and, how they're both growing, and all our businesses are growing, but they don't realize that there are a lot of minuscule failures and major failures too along the way that really people don't necessarily look at as much because they look at all the major successes, but it's a trial and error type of thing, constant trial and error. So there's not really a lot of specifics, but it happens a lot.
I think the main thing is like when he or I or all of us throw an event and we come to them ourselves and they're successful, that's when we're like, okay, yes, because we don't know. We'll throw an event, we don't know if anybody's coming or not.
Yeah.
And we'll have we'll have an event up on Facebook, and we'll look, it'll be like 30 people interested. And we're like, this isn't going to do anything. And we'll show up and there's 300 people.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
For the library, for instance, the library is kind of an enigma. We're still trying to figure out its identity. We're still trying to figure out a core audience for it. Trivia night's doing really well. And other nights where we've had, different type of theme nights haven't really taken off like we would have hoped. So it's a lot of trial and error. And, eventually we're hoping to find success. And people will, look at that success and be like, wow, they've got the magic touch. But again, a lot of failure. And it's the type of mentality where you can't be afraid to fail in order to get to that point of success.
Absolutely. And so I've heard that y'all have some exciting events that are coming up at the Hobo and the library in March. Something about a drag show. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So the Salty Hobo is doing Pride Night, which we're hoping to do once a month. But the LGBTQ Center of Bay County, which is actually right down the road here in St. Andrews, right down the street, is hopping on board with us. William is doing a fantastic job kind of taking point and pointing us in the right direction of where to go. But we're going to have a full-on drag show from these drag queens that are from like Pensacola and local. We've got DJ Bam Bam who's going to be there. And it's just going to be a really inclusive night that I think a lot of people have been searching for on this side of the bridge. And we're really happy to kind of make this night all inclusive and just a fun, carefree night, really.
Yeah, communities showed up on Facebook too. People are excited about it. So it's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. It sounds like it's going to be super fun. So sort of reflecting back on the past question, what would you believe is the most significant takeaway post-event, after the event is over? Do you have any significant takeaways that you've learned from the events that you've hosted?
Well, you always have things that you learn after events, whether or not, they're successful or not. If they're not successful, you actually learn more things when they're not successful than you do if they are successful.
Right.
Because if they're not successful, then you can really start to dissect things. If they are successful, they're successful. So, you kind of copy that formula. You try and copy it again and again. But usually if an event isn't successful, we kind of, afterward the fact, kind of see where the cracks were. And that's really, I think, what we do to try and make an event successful or not. Really.
Yeah, I think we always, even with the library, I don't ever try to like whiteboard like this is what this is going to be. I don't ever say that, for example, library is going to be, a bar or this. We kind of I'm always been the one that's just like, hey, let's open it, let's see what happens, and let the people tell us what they like. And so for events and stuff, well, it's crowd control. It's, are the bar lines too long? How do we service people better? So it's always try to learn from each event what we can do to make the next event easier, better, smoother. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me is learning how to manage everything.
For instance, with the library, people are starting to bring in chessboards and starting to play chess there. And it's like, okay, are we going to be a chess bar now? Like, let's go get a ton of chessboards and let just people have at it and have a good time and get all these games and stuff. We kind of let these bars take a life of their own and let the community decide what they are, like Bobby said.
We follow for sure.
Absolutely.
That's so amazing how that happens. What challenges have you faced since the hurricane?
Well, that's more of a Bobby question there. That's, he's the one that owns the businesses. And I think.
I don't know that I've challenged. I don't know how much of a challenge I'd say from the hurricane because I didn't have any of these businesses during the hurricane. Actually, I'd rented the Hobo, I think October 2nd or 3rd. Mm-hmm. So we've been over there working for like a week before the hurricane. So
okay.
we were almost like we had everything done, painted. We're like, all right, we got this. And then the hurricane hit. We lost our house completely, like destroyed it. So we were displaced for right at 2 years. Then we moved back about 2 months before the 2-year anniversary. We got back in our house. So personally, it was devastating to my life. Professionally, not so much. I let the Hobo sit. I talked to John McVeigh, the landlord, and was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I've got, my house is destroyed. And he's like, don't worry about it. Just sit on it. We'll figure it out later. So about after I got my house cleaned out, my mom's and my sister's, so we all three lost our houses, I circled back about 3 months later, maybe 2 months later, I circled back. It's like, all right, am I going to do this or am I not? And I finally went into the Hobo and looked at it. Literally, I didn't even look at it after the hurricane. I waited like 2 months. I walked in, looked at it, left, went home, thought about it. I was like, well, I'm going to do it. So as far as business afterwards, I think we were one of the first bars open after the hurricane. So that was we got to, I guess, be introduced to a lot more people since there wasn't as many things open. But I don't know.
Really, COVID has been the one that's been affecting us the most, especially the initial months last year of 2020 when everything started to get shut down. I wasn't with Bobby then, but I was still working with him as a radio personality, and we were able to do the virtual concerts at the Salty Hobo, which which really kept people excited about live music. They were, instead of being cooped in their house, they were able to watch, what was happening at their favorite hangout, the Hobo. And, that really turned into something really special. And I think that cemented us with the music community as the local music community as an establishment that really cares about the artists and the people.
Definitely. So at your leisure, if you had a day off and you could spend the day in St. Andrews, where would you go and what would you do?
Personally, I would walk all the shops. I love all the shops. I love St. Andrews, period. I love the park. I love the marina. I love all of it. Just strolling around, shopping. I think it's an amazing area.
I'd probably go to Sunjammers and just check out the watercrafts that they have and go enjoy the bay. I'm just that type of guy. I would like to go paddleboarding or, kind of shops and eat. Oh yeah. Food, all the food.
Tons of food.
Yeah. There's so much food here that people don't realize that is just pristine, grade A quality food.
What do y'all particularly like at the different restaurants?
Slice House has phenomenal pizza. Their pizza is really good.
Slice House is good. Finn's is one of my favorites.
Barefoot has really good burgers too. They have good burgers. I have yet to have Hunt's. Was it tuna dip? Is it their tuna dip that they're famous for?
I haven't had it there yet.
I need to have that really bad.
Very good things about the tuna dip at Hunt's.
We should go right now.
Let's go. Thanks, Ashley.
That sounds excellent. So. Also, St. Andrews, I grew up here. I grew up in between Molitor and Michigan Avenue. It's always been in a state of perpetual recovery in some way or another.
Yeah.
How do both of you look forward to seeing St. Andrews in the coming 5 to 10 years?
I expect to see it as, well, I'm hoping that we're able to get that cruise to come by and be one of, St. Andrews being one of their stops. That's one of my biggest hopes for this community because it's such, and Bobby, loves this area more than anybody, I think. I mean, this guy eats, breathes, and sleeps St. Andrews. And, we're just hoping for more people to discover it and discover what a great, quaint little town it is. I would love for that to happen. And I would love for eventually for us to get a mini golf area around here. We need one desperately.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't want it to change. That'd be my answer. I want it to stay the way it is.
That's
I love the way it is right now. I like to see it grow. I like to see some of these lots turn into, smaller, stores like we have now.
Like mini golf.
Yeah, like mini golf would work. That would work.
That just sounds like never-ending fun. And what do you love about St. Andrews, both of you?
I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if I could put it into words. I think it's more of a feeling than it is a description. And I've brought people from out of town, from Tennessee and other places, and they'll come in, they'll walk the streets, and they'll look around like, yeah, this place is really cool. I think it's got that old time 1950s feel. It's small, it's quaint, it's just a cool feeling you get when you're in St. Andrews.
I think I could help out with a word when you come to St. Andrews. It's a sense of community.
True that, yeah.
Which is huge in St. It's off the beaten path, but it's not at the same time. It's got that feeling to it. And when you come, it's like everybody's kind of family. All these businesses support one another. It's a really solid sense of community that I really admire.
It's like you talk about out by like Cape Sandblast and all that. They call it the Forgotten Coast.
Yes.
I think like St. Andrews has kind of got that vibe. It's the little forgotten city that Tom's left just perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I agree so much. So I hear that the library is also available to rent out as an event space. Can y'all tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we actually started renting out the entire bar. So, I mean, if you've got a dream of, having a bar all to yourself with your party, we're renting the space out. And with that comes your very own bartender. Depending on the tier that you want to pick, we'll provide the music, the entertainment. We've also teamed up with the bakery that's right down the street. Again, sense of community. We went down the road, asked the bakery to be a part of it too, and they were thrilled at the idea. So we're really growing it into something special. And if people have a dream of having the bar to themselves and having their very own dive bar for a few hours, then yeah, the library is the place to be.
It definitely has a fantastic atmosphere. So how can folks find y'all on social media and beyond?
Take it away, Jake.
Well, you can find us on the Library on Beck Facebook page, and that's actually spelled LIE. Apostrophe Brary, and then you can also find the Salty Hobo on the Salty Hobo Facebook page. We're also on Instagram. I don't think we're on Twitter, and if we are, we don't really use it. So it's mainly Facebook and Instagram that you can see all of our stuff, and you can find me at Paco on the Paco Radio Show, Paco Promotions now page, and Bobby's just floating around somewhere. But you can find him anywhere.
I've seen your post about Paco Promotions. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
It's basically just, transitioning from being on the radio to now being a guy who likes to promote and does marketing for Bobby and, all of our businesses. And it's just, I've told everybody, it's been more of a lateral move than anything. I'm just so comfortable doing it, and it's something I really enjoy. So Paco Promotions it is, because it's not a radio show anymore.
El Presidente.
El Presidente.
Looks like you're very good at what you do. So both of you, thank you so much for being here today on the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. It's been a joy having you. I hope everybody enjoys listening, and will tune in next week for more.
This week's Old News segment was written by Will D. Muse, and the column is called As We See It. This was published in the St. Andrews Bay News, March 6th in 1928. This article was found in the newspaper archives on FloridaHiddenTreasures.com. As We See It by Will D. Muse. The St. Andrews section is sitting high and handsome compared to other sections of Florida. In the USA, a gradually increasing number of visitors from all sections of the country is concrete evidence that the story of St. Andrews Bay and its wonderful advantages is being told in many states and discussed in many homes. The golfers' pilgrimage came, and the members of this caravan was charged with the delights that this section offers, and many of them expressed themselves as positively, including St. Andrews Bay and their future trip south. This pilgrimage was composed of prominent men from almost every state in the Union, men who can and do spend their winter south of the snow and sleet and ice. Just a few days ago, the high officials, or at least part of them, including the president of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, were here. Just what their mission was may not be clear, But one thing is certain, the chances for having improved rail facilities into Panama City and Lynn Haven has not been hindered by their visit, and it may be that in the near future some evidence of this will be seen. The St. Andrews Bay Club is going strong. The club hotel is having almost as many guests as can be taken care of part of the time, and the average is far greater than any time in the past. All indications point to a capacity crowd this spring and summer, and the club is expecting to have more guests than the present capacity of the club can accommodate. Preparations are being made for additional improvements, including several rooms. The membership is increasing rapidly, and the quota for each city is being taken by prominent folk who are quick to realize the wonderful club facilities offer at exceedingly attractive prices. This club clientele is going to be a big asset for Panama City, which is very satisfying, for everyone wants to see that little metropolis grow to larger proportions. Rapidly, these people will motor daily to Panama City to enjoy the many trading advantages there, as well as to attend the shows and walk around on the modern streets. And that brings to mind the fact that the highway between the Lynn Haven station and the clubhouse is not yet paved. With this short trip of roadway property improved, the visitors will go daily to Panama City. Part of this job is for Panama City, part of it is for the county, and part of it is for Lynn Haven. With everyone on the job, it is not such a big job after all, and can be done in a very short time, and it is a very small cost to anyone of the three sections interested, and folks, it means much and how. Grant did not take Richmond at a day. All the things that are to be done here in St. Andrews cannot be done in a month or a year, but they are going to be done gradually, and the improvement is really more marked than we would first realize. Property values are going to advance just as sure as the improvements continue, and it's the road, the bridges, the highways, the paved streets, and the modern facilities that are going to bring about this increase. When this happens, then everyone who owns property will benefit, as they should, for the fight has been rough enough part of the time. William L. Wilson looks happy, must be getting lots of promises about the trip to Congress, and we hope that every one of them are fulfilled, for he is going to do much for the St. Andrews Bay section when he gets in his easy chair in the White House, and we may get to see it, and that we hope so. We hope everybody who lives in Bay County gets rich, except ourselves. We have been poor for so long, money would just hamper us in our activities. But give us a little house by the side of the road, and we can enjoy seeing the other fellows sitting in their cars, and we don't mind smelling the smoke of their gasoline. Fish are biting fine these days. Phil West can catch them anyway and anywhere, so they say. Somebody found him fishing the other day with an apple on his hook, and when they asked him why the apple, he said the worm was inside. Now, can you imagine it? We are leaving town in about an hour or so. We will be safe in our way before he sees this. Thank you so much for listening to episode 18 of the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. We now have a Facebook page and an Instagram account. These pages share when future episodes will be published and more information regarding the growth of the podcast. I hope you'll visit these pages, and you can show your support by liking, following, and sharing the pages with all your salty friends. Before I go, I need to mention I'm hoping to share all kinds of public events. If you're having a yard sale, or you'd like me to help you promote a special happening, please DM the podcast on Facebook, or you can email me at ashley.feller@gmail.com. The podcast is now available to stream on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, CastBox, and Google Podcasts. I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and shared the podcast with all their salty friends. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you everyone again for supporting this effort. The intro music was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz at Boundless Sounds on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The show was recorded by me in my music room. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.